Welcome to the National Beef Leadership Development Series Refresher, number 8A. This is the first of a two-part refresher. This first part will help you remember where conflict comes from, why you respond to it the way you do, and 5 positive options for responding to it. The second part will review the most effective strategy to make conflict productive. Conflict is the result of people disagreeing with each other. Conflict can be helpful or hurtful depending on how you respond to it. Conflict is helpful when it leads to new ideas or new opportunities. It is hurtful when it drives a wedge between 2 or more people that have to work together. Everyone has 5 different ways to respond to conflict. Knowing each way, managing any personal habits or preferences, and using each with intention can convert a hurtful response to conflict to a helpful response. The Thomas Kilmann Conflict Mode Instrument, or TKI, assesses an individual's behavior in conflict situations. These are situations in which the concerns of 2 or more people appear to be incompatible. To understand how people respond to conflict, we need to understand our natural responses. We can do this by looking at behavior along 2 dimensions: assertiveness, the extent to which an individual attempts to satisfy his or her own concerns, and cooperativeness, the extent to which an individual attempts to satisfy the other person's concerns. These 2 dimensions of behavior, when put on a matrix, describe 5 normal responses to conflict. Let's look at each normal response, some of the common behaviors attached to them, and an example of when each should be used. The first is avoiding. If this is your preference, when faced with conflict, you would most likely avoid the issue entirely or withdraw from the threat, feel very uncomfortable addressing the issue or situation, sidestep or postpone the issue or situation until another time. You want to avoid responding to a conflict when there is no chance of anyone winning and the potential damage of resolution outweighs the potential benefits. You or others need cool down time or time to gather information. The second is accommodating. If this is your preference, when faced with conflict, you would most likely give in or neglect your own concerns to satisfy the concerns of others, feel generous, charitable, or self-sacrificing, yield to another's point of view even if you disagree with it. You want to accommodate in a conflict when you recognize the other person's position is better, someone else needs to be heard. The third is competing. If this is your preference, when faced with conflict, you would most likely impose your perception and perspective, feel you are right, so you need to defend your position regardless, use whatever power you can to push or get your way. You want to compete in a conflict when quick, decisive action is vital, such as issues of safety, or to avoid unacceptable risk, such as preventing workarounds. To protect yourself or others against people who take advantage or manipulate. The fourth is compromising. If this is your preference, when faced with conflict, you would most likely find a middle ground where everyone gets and gives a little, feel a need to split the difference so it feels fair, create a sense of everyone being okay, even if it's not. You want to compromise in a conflict when 2 parties of equal power are committed to goals that may be mutually exclusive, to achieve temporary settlements to complex issues, or help everyone quickly save face. The fifth is collaborating. If this is your preference, when faced with conflict, you would most likely find a creative option where everyone wins equally, feel a need to understand the other person's perception of their needs, work to resolve the root cause of the issue or situation, whether it relates to relationships, resources, roles, or goals. You want to collaborate in a conflict when gaining commitment by getting everyone's input is the top priority. To work through negative feelings that have been impacting the effectiveness of a productive relationship. All 5 of these responses are normal and can be helpful or hurtful depending on how you use your words, tone of voice, and body language. Now that you can recall the 5 options for responding to conflict and when to use each, you are ready to review the conversation strategy that helps each option to be successful. Thank you for completing part 1 of the refresher. Now on to the challenge. Good luck!